Hi and welcome to the first clip of this student portfolios exercise, so they're coding along. Again, what I already did was create a basic application using Create React App. You can also use Vite for your application, and I cleared everything except for the index CSS and the index.js, so when I render it, it's completely empty. Now, to get started with router, as you might have seen, if you have followed the previous coding alongs that I did, I am Mike de Rijken from Erasmus Hogeschool Brussels, by the way. Again, to reiterate, this is a coding along for students from the Erasmus Hogeschool Brussels for the Bachelor Multimedia and Creative Technologies. But you can also follow along, and I will try to explain as much as possible without needs for the student materials. You can find the source code for this tutorial in the description of this video. Now, in the last application where we built, first it was the Lego app, then it was the interactive story path, we had a folder called Pages, which basically was a precursor to what we are going to be calling it now, which is Routes. So let's create a new folder here, Routes, and this will represent all our routes in our application. So let's say a standard application has a home page, an about page, and a contact page, for example. Then you would have the three routes here. They're still basically components like React as we know it, but they are located in the routes folder, and just for name's sake, it might be easier to work with. So in our routes folder, we're going to have one home page for now. So we're going to create a new file called home.jsx. Again, use your favorite snipping tool to create your basic function component. In that function component, we're going to have a sidebar. And I have Copilot here assisting me again. Perfect. Div sidebar, just very silly stuff here. Let's make a div for content. And do we add a navigation bar? Yes, we'll add a navigation bar. Why not? Just to show you all the different things, or the header. Yeah, perfect. So I have three divs. This will look like nothing, of course, but this is again to test our basic component usage. So in the index.js, for now, let's just add the home route. And you will see the four divs. Perfect. Now, what I want you to do, again, I will do the same thing that I did in the last video and give you some time to work things out for yourself. So in the home page, I would like you to create with custom CSS, with a framework. I don't really care. You do you. You spend as much time on it as you want. But I want you to create with CSS, with HTML, a sidebar with some dummy elements, and a regular component on the right side containing, for example, a profile page. Again, we are going to be showcasing student portfolios. Don't put too much into it. The profile page can be, for now, just the name and an email. For now, we're going to be expanding it later. But I want a sidebar, I want a navigation, and I want a content page. If you want to make the sidebar responsive, that's completely up to you. So pause this video now, and I'll see you in a bit. And welcome back to our very basic sidebar template site. But it will do fine for our React Router tutorial. Now, as you can see, it has some responsiveness. I took the design from startbootstrap.com, a template. It's found in the README file, and I will commit all this for you in the GitHub repo if you want to have the same build-up as me. Just to run through very quickly, so I have the home route. In the home route, we have a sidebar, and we have a navbar, and we have content. The sidebar itself is, let me check. Yeah, lots of class names here. But most importantly for later, it's the reference, or the ref, because they are all anchor tags. At the moment, they are not filled in. They're just dummy text. And then I have the navbar, which is again from the demo, I tweaked the CSS a little bit so it doesn't get removed when I make it smaller, just for the demo's sake. You can tinker with this as much as possible, but this is how I build it up. So again, home is built out of sidebar, navbar, and content. Now, of course, this is not very flexible. Home is hard-coded here in the index.js. So, you know what? Let's create our first router and make sure that whenever you serve to your regular root of the site, which for our case is localhost 3000, if you serve to that page and your server is running in this case, then you should get the home component. But we want it to be interactive, as in, like, if I want to later slot in a different component, then I should be easily able to do so. All right, so the first thing you need to do is to actually import the things. So as you might see, React Router DOM is a package that we need to install first. So if you go to the terminal, this is lots of issues. Let me check. Should be okay. Open a new PowerShell or a terminal window. Make sure you're in the correct folder, and then do npm install React Router DOM. Once that is installed, you can use all the tips and tricks from, or all the packages basically from the React router. So to create a router, we need two things for now. We need a variable which will hold our paths, and then we will provide the router inside our application here in the center. So const router, and I think that the AI is going to help me quite a bit here. The router itself, we will be creating a browser router. So again, oops, struggling with the typing today. Create browser router, and that will hold all our paths, which is an array. So as you can see, it already loads in the first example. So our first element, it's not element, it is, yeah, it is. We say that whenever you go to the path root, so in this case, just a single slash. So if you're hosting, for example, on www.mikederijge.com, which is my name, then if you serve to that, that's the root URL. So in this case, we will host, or at least show you the home component. Well, that's all fair and all, but the moment we are here, it's still hard-coded here. How do we update this? Well, we add a router provider. And we will pass along the, let me check, what is it? Given a remix router has no corresponding closing tag. Done. So the router provider will pass along this variable, and now it's actually using the home component. So not much has changed here, but let's say we do this, and then you might see a difference. Let's say I just want to do hi mom. As you can see, the hi mom message is shown. So that means our router works. So you can do a JSX element here, or you can actually put a whole component into this. So that's why the home component is quite important. So going back to it and resetting everything, we have our first route. Now to make sure and to test that you can have multiple paths, you can just add another one. As you can see, I was going to do the about page, and I'm going to add the about element. I don't have an about element yet. Let's just create a very simple one. Let me check. Components. No, it's a different route. It's an actual about page. JSX. This is the about page, and then I can h1 about page. All right, so I have a very simple about page, and I will add a button here in a second to show you how linking works. But going back to our route, we have the about page. It doesn't know what it is, but now it does. So you might not be able to navigate here by button for now, but you can just type in the URL. So about, and we are having the about page. So going back, we can get back to the student portfolios. So the cool thing about React Router is that it actually uses the routing stack of your browser. So whenever you type in a new, or actually, whenever you, how's it called? The URL stack that when you're browsing through different pages and you click on the back button and the forward button, it uses an internal stack. The browser router here from React Router DOM uses the same logic. Okay, so we have our basic routing for now. Then let's just see what happens when we click on one of those links. These don't work, probably because it doesn't have a link. So go to the sidebar. Like I said, the href. So it would be cool if we go to /student and then /1 because the ID is 1. So our route is student /1. And of course we will have student 2 and student 3. So these are valid URLs if we were to use regular hrefs. If I click on it, we get like this very nasty, unexpected application error. And for developers, of course, the 404, which is the page is not found. Now, how do we solve that? Well, by implementing one specific error page. Let's do that right now. So to create a custom error page, we're going to add another route file in here, and we're going to call it, for example, error page, error page.jsx. And I'm going to paste in some error template, again, that I found online. Make sure you feel free to create your own. This is based, of course, on what's it called, on Bootstrap, the one that I'm using. Let's see if it works. No, it doesn't work because I'm not using it yet. So error page up. Oops. Don't use hyphens in your file names. Error page and then error page. So for now, let's keep it like this. Make sure you have a button, an href, which we will link up in a second. So you have your error page, and then you need to add it to your router, because you can tell the routers like, hey, if something is not found, then we can show this page to you. So if we go back to the browser router here in our index page, for here, we can tell it that it has an error element, and it will import the error page, the one that we created. So error page will be coming from our routes. And when I'm clicking now, you get the error page. Oh, look, Lego, always good. Who knew that it was a reference to the first exercise that we did? Well, we have this. It's okay, but it's not perfect. For example, if there was a specific error, then you can get those details on your page itself. So how do you do that? Well, on the error page itself, there is a hook that you can use from React Router DOM that will tell you which error has occurred. Because sometimes it can be a different error as well. It can be 404, can be something else. So if we do const error, we're not going to throw it. We're going to use route error. It automatically imports, which is perfect. And then we can log the error, or we can use it in our message. So for example, you can have a you can console log the error here to see what is in there. But of course, every error here has a status text and has a message, which are the same errors that are thrown by your website anyway. So, oops, page not found. Let's stick with that. But here we are going to print out the error status text and the error message. And let's see what it does. Error status text. Status text and the error message. Let's refresh. No message. Okay, no message then. But the status text is not found, and the status can also be shown, and the status is the actual status code. So 404 not found. Okay, this is a double error message page, but hey, as long as it's clear to the user, then it's okay. Okay, let's do this go home button. So now we have the href. If you want to go back, we can just move back to / which is the route, the root route. So if I click on go home, I'll go back to this page. Click on here, it's broken, and we have a functional error page. Now let's just finalize this with the about button. So go to the about page and add a button here. Href class name. Let's see if it works. If we go to about, whoops, not Bing. Now we have a button, go home. And if we click on it, we can go home. Again, the last thing we need to do is to make sure to paste this href in the navbar, because in the navbar, for me at least, there is also a about button here. So I'm going to paste /about. And now we have a fully working navigating website. So let's test it out. If we click on student, that's broken. We're going to fix that later. Perfect. We have the go home button, which works. And then we have the about page that if we click on it, we see this ugly version of the about page. We can still do some tricks, but the about page is just a demo on how to move to a completely different page. Of course, student will be loaded in here, and that is for the next video. I'll see you in the next video.